Hey there, friend folded hands. Before we dive into today's video, I want you to pause for just a second and ask yourself a question. When was the last time you gave yourself one full hour? Just 1 hour. Completely focused on becoming better? Not scrolling. Not watching TV. Not doing stuff for other people. But 1 hour where you showed up for yourself? Here's the truth. And it might sting a little. Most people will go their entire lives without ever giving themselves one focused hour a day. And then they wonder why nothing changes. They wonder why they feel stuck, why they're not growing, why life feels like it's just happening to them instead of for them. But here's what I want you to know. And stick with me because there's something important coming up. If you can give just 1 hour a day to yourself, with intention, with focus, with consistency, everything changes. Not someday. Not eventually. Starting now. In this video, we're going to cover 10 powerful chapters that will show you exactly how to use that 1 hour to transform your life. Here's what you're going to learn. Chapter 1, Why 1 hour a day is enough to change everything. And how most people waste that opportunity without even realizing it. Chapter 2, How getting out of bed in the morning determines the entire direction of your life. And a simple shift that changes everything. Chapter 3, Where to put your attention so your future actually grows. And the hidden trap that keeps most people stuck. Chapter 4, How to build something meaningful with your time, even if you don't know where to start. Chapter 5, The power of learning one useful thing every single day. And why this habit alone separates the successful from the stuck. Chapter 6, Why moving your body isn't just about fitness. It's about mental clarity, emotional strength, and feeling alive again. Chapter 7, How slowing down and checking in with yourself can save you years of confusion and regret. Chapter 8, The one problem you've been running from. And why fixing it will unlock everything else. Chapter 9, How tracking your actions builds discipline and keeps you consistent, even when motivation is gone. Chapter 10, Why repetition is the real secret to becoming someone better. And how to stick with it long after the excitement fades. Now here's something interesting. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Somewhere in the middle of this video, there's a specific tip that most people overlook. It's simple. It's subtle. But once you hear it and actually apply it, it will change how you approach your time forever. Pay attention. You'll know it when you get there. And hey, if this video adds value to your life, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment below and let me know. What's the one thing you'd use your 1 hour for? And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Alright. Let's get into it. Chapter 1, Give yourself one full hour to improve daily. You know, this might sound simple, but most people fail not because they lack talent. They fail because they never learned how to use their time in a way that builds them instead of breaking them. That's what we're talking about today. 1 hour. 60 minutes. That's just 4% of your day. And yet, most people will give away hours and hours to scrolling, to entertainment, to complaining, to waiting around. But they won't give even 1 hour to themselves. And that right there is the reason so many people never become who they were meant to be. Look, change doesn't require luck. It doesn't require perfect timing. What it requires is discipline. And a decision. If you're not where you want to be in life, there's a good chance you've been giving your time to the wrong things. Because time is a mirror. It reflects your priorities. And 1 hour a day tells a big story about how much you believe you're worth. If you give yourself 1 hour every day, not to rest, not to escape, but to build, to learn, to reflect, to train, to grow. In just a few months, you won't recognize yourself. And you don't have to do anything crazy. You don't need some big event to turn your life around. What you need is a chair, a notebook, a pen, and some quiet. You need discipline. You need consistency. And most of all, you need honesty. 1 hour a day is enough to change the way you think. And that's where it all starts. With your thinking. Because if your thoughts are weak, your actions will follow. But if your thinking sharpens, your life begins to shift. You start asking better questions. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. That's the kind of change that lasts. And it starts with 1 hour. If this video is already making you think, a like would mean a lot. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now. There's so much more coming. Chapter 1. Give yourself 1 full hour to improve daily. Here's something you need to understand. You have time. Maybe not endless time. Maybe not perfectly planned time. But you have time. And inside that time, you have a choice. You can spend it the same way you spent yesterday. Or you can use it to create something that actually matters to you. This is what separates people who move forward from people who stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not opportunity. It's how they use their time. Especially the time no one sees. Most people say, I'm too busy. But what they really mean is, I haven't made what matters a priority. You will always find time for what's important. The question is your growth important enough to make the list? Is your purpose important enough to sit down, focus, and start building? Here's the truth. Building something meaningful takes effort. It takes focus. It takes deciding that even if no one notices, even if there's no applause, even if it's uncomfortable, you're going to do it anyway because it matters to you. That's what gives your life meaning. Not just going through routines. Not just checking off to-do lists. But building something with intention. Something you can look back on tomorrow and feel proud of. If this video is resonating with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below. What would you do with your 1 hour? Chapter 2. Get out of bed and take back your day. Most people don't realize how much of their life they're giving away the moment they hit the snooze button. Not just minutes. Not just time. They're giving away ownership. When you don't get out of bed with purpose, something else starts running your day. Your habits. Your mood. Your distractions. Your excuses. And if that continues long enough, you start to feel like nothing is in your control. That's why getting out of bed early and on your own terms matters more than people think. It's not just about waking up. It's about waking up to your life. Every day you stay in bed longer than you planned, you're delaying your own progress. Not because you're weak. Not because you're lazy. But because you haven't made the decision to lead your day. You're letting the day lead you. And when the day leads you, it takes you where it wants, not where you want to go. You've probably noticed this. The first decision you make in the morning sets the tone for every other decision that follows. If your first move is hesitation, your next move will be scattered. If your first move is doubt, your next move will lack confidence. But if your first move is action, your day begins with power. When you get out of bed exactly when you said you would. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one's watching. It teaches you something. It teaches you that you have control over yourself. And when you feel in control of yourself, everything else in life starts to feel possible. You stop letting your emotions run the show. You stop being a slave to your old patterns. You start making decisions based on who you want to become, not how you feel in the moment. Most people say they want to change their life. But change doesn't start at the gym. It doesn't start at the office. It doesn't even start with a book. Change starts when your alarm goes off and you make the choice to rise. That's where real discipline begins. Not in some big dramatic moment, but in the silence of your own room. When you choose action over comfort, you don't have to be excited about waking up. You just have to be willing. You have to stop waiting to feel ready. That's the biggest mistake people make. They think they need to feel good before they take action. But if you wait to feel like it, you'll wait forever. If this hit home for you, drop a comment right now and say, "I'm waking up tomorrow." Make that promise to yourself. And don't forget to like this video. Chapter 3. Put your attention where your future actually grows. Every person wants a better future. But most never get there. Not because they don't try, but because they spend too much time focusing on the wrong things. Your life always moves in the direction of your attention. If your attention is scattered, your life will be scattered. If your attention is on things that don't really matter, you'll burn your energy on short-term comfort while your long-term goals fall behind. This is the truth most people run from. The life you're building is directly shaped by what you choose to focus on every single day. It's easy to say you want success. It's easy to say you want growth. But it's not about what you say. It's about where your attention goes when no one's watching. Because if you're giving your attention to drama, to other people's opinions, to things that keep you stuck in comparison and insecurity, you're feeding the wrong side of your future. You have to understand this. Your attention is your power. Wherever it goes, your energy follows. And wherever your energy goes, your results begin to form. Every day you get to choose what to think about, what to work on, what to pursue. If you constantly let your mind get pulled into distractions, you'll spend your life reacting instead of creating. And here's the dangerous part. Most distractions don't even look like distractions at first. They look like notifications, entertainment, small tasks, other people's problems. But little by little, they steal your attention from what actually builds you. You have to become aware of this because no one is going to protect your attention for you. The world doesn't care if you waste your focus. In fact, it profits from your distraction. But your future only grows when you place your attention on things that move you forward. That means you have to train your mind to resist what's easy and choose what matters. Not once in a while. Every day. Ask yourself, what are you really giving your attention to? Are you spending hours thinking about what went wrong? Are you constantly checking who liked your post? Are you letting fear take up space in your mind? Because attention is limited. You don't get it back. And if you're not careful, your time and attention will be spent without ever getting you closer to the life you say you want. There's a massive difference between being busy and being focused. Being busy can make you feel like you're doing something. But being focused actually moves the needle. And being focused is uncomfortable because real focus demands effort. It demands that you sit down, say no to distractions, and give your full mind to one task. Most people avoid this level of clarity. Not because they're lazy, but because it forces them to face what they've been running from. The moment you put your attention on what matters, you can't hide behind excuses anymore. You'll start to see where you've been wasting time. You'll see the gaps in your habits. You'll notice the difference between activity and progress. It's uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of transformation. You don't need more time. You need better focus. If you locked in on one goal for even one focused hour a day for the next year, you would be unrecognizable 12 months from now. But the problem is we live in a world that wants your attention every second. Scroll here. Click there. Answer this. React to that. And if you don't take control, your focus will be pulled in 50 different directions. None of them leading to the life you're trying to build. Train yourself to notice when you're drifting. When your mind starts wandering to things that drain you, bring it back. You are not a robot. You have control over your focus. And the more you practice this, the stronger your attention becomes. Like a muscle. At first, it's difficult to stay locked in. But over time, you'll be able to work deeper, think clearer, and move faster toward the life you want. Start by deciding where your attention needs to be. Maybe it's a project you've been avoiding. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's fixing something that's been broken for too long. Whatever it is, commit to giving it your attention every single day. Not your leftover time. Not what's convenient. Your best energy. Because what you feed grows. If focus is something you're working on, drop a comment and say focus. And don't forget to hit like if this is adding value. Chapter 4. Build something meaningful with your own time. Every day you wake up with time in your hands. And whether you realize it or not, that time is either used to build or to waste. Most people go through their day reacting to everything around them. They check their phone, scroll through what others are doing, run from one task to the next. And by the time the day ends, they've poured hours into things that meant nothing to them. Then they wonder why life feels empty. Why they feel stuck. Why they don't feel proud of anything. The reason is simple. Nothing they did that day was meaningful. You have time. Maybe not endless time. Maybe not perfectly planned time. But you have time. And inside that time, you have a choice. You can spend it doing the same thing you did yesterday. Or you can use it to create something that actually matters to you. This is what separates people who move forward from people who stay stuck. It's not luck. It's not opportunity. It's how they use their time. Especially the time no one sees. Most people say they're too busy. But what they really mean is they haven't made what matters a priority. You'll always find time for what's important. The question is your growth important enough to make the list? Is your purpose important enough to sit down, focus, and start building? Here's the truth. Building something meaningful takes effort. It takes focus. It takes deciding that even if no one notices, even if there's no applause, even if it's uncomfortable, you're going to do it anyway because it matters to you. That's what gives your life meaning. Not just going through routines. Not just checking off to-do lists. But building something with intention. Something you can look back on tomorrow and feel proud of. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You don't need to wait for the right mood. What you need is to sit down and use what you have. Your mind. Your time. Your energy. Your vision. Maybe it's writing a page in a book. Maybe it's recording your ideas. Maybe it's designing something. Maybe it's building your health. Maybe it's learning a skill that pushes you closer to your next level. The point isn't what you build. The point is that when you start building something, you begin to feel purpose again. You stop floating. You stop chasing the feeling of motivation and start creating a reason to wake up tomorrow with clarity. Most people don't need a vacation. They need a reason. They need something in their life that reminds them that their time matters. Your time is not just for surviving. It's for building. It's for doing something that outlasts the moment. You don't have to do everything in one day. But you do have to start. You have to give yourself permission to work on your vision, even if it's small, even if it's quiet. Because if you keep waiting for the perfect window, it will never come. Life doesn't slow down so you can catch up. You have to create the space to grow inside the life you already have. There is real strength in showing up for your own goals, especially when no one else understands them. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You need consistency. You need to remind yourself daily that your time is valuable. And what you do with it will shape your future. That's not pressure. That's power. Because it means you don't have to wait on anyone. You can start using today to build something that brings you closer to the life you want. We're more than halfway through. If you're getting value, hit that like button one more time. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Growth doesn't come from doing more. Growth comes from knowing more. And not just random information. It comes from learning something useful. Something that changes how you think, how you act, how you show up. Every day you have the chance to learn something that can make your life better. Something that sharpens your judgment. Something that helps you make better decisions. Something that builds your confidence. But most people never take that chance. They wait. They say they'll get to it. They get caught up in the noise. They choose entertainment over education. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. Why they keep repeating the same patterns. Why nothing ever changes. If you want to grow, you have to become a person who learns on purpose. Not once a week. Not when it's convenient. Every single day. You don't have to study for hours. You don't need a classroom. You just need one useful idea. One concept that helps you understand life better. One insight that helps you handle stress, people, money, time, relationships, responsibility. Whatever you're facing right now. Because here's the truth. Your next level depends on what you know. You can't act better until you think better. And you won't think better until you learn better. Every problem you face is either something you already know how to solve, or something you haven't learned how to deal with yet. When you stop learning, your growth stops too. You stay stuck at the level of your last breakthrough. You start recycling the same thoughts. You use the same approach. You keep making the same mistakes. Not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you haven't learned a better way yet. One useful thing a day. That's it. That's the mindset. It could be from a book. It could be from a podcast. It could be a quote that makes you pause. It could be a conversation with someone you respect. It could be a mistake you made that finally clicked. The source doesn't matter. What matters is the usefulness. Is it something you can apply? Is it something that changes how you look at your time, your effort, your future? It's not about stuffing your mind with information. That's not growth. Growth is when you take one clear idea and start living by it. When you don't just hear it, but you understand it. You think about it. You write it down. You ask yourself, how does this apply to my life today? That kind of learning changes you slowly, daily, but deeply. Learning doesn't require genius. It requires hunger. A hunger to improve. A hunger to figure things out. A hunger to stop staying stuck in the same spot. You can learn from anything if you're paying attention. But the problem is most people are distracted. They spend more time scrolling than thinking. They look for quick answers instead of deep understanding. They chase hacks but avoid mastery. And that's why they don't grow. It's not a lack of potential. It's a lack of focused learning. If you want to live a better life, you have to learn how life works. That means understanding how your mind works, how your habits shape your future, how to manage your emotions, how to build things that last, how to speak in a way that creates trust, how to think long-term, how to move with purpose instead of reacting to everything that happens. None of that happens by accident. It happens when you sit down every day and say, what can I learn today that will make me better tomorrow? Learning one useful thing a day might not look like much at first, but it adds up. 30 days from now, you'll be 30 ideas smarter. That's 30 new tools you didn't have before. That's 30 mental shifts. That's 30 layers of growth. And it doesn't stop there. When you stay consistent, those ideas connect. They build on each other. And that's how you start seeing the world differently. You make smarter moves. You speak with more confidence. You handle pressure better because now you're growing from the inside out. This is powerful stuff. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one useful thing you've learned recently? And don't forget to hit like. Chapter 6, do something physical to feel strong and awake. Your body holds the energy you need to build your future. And most people never access it because they don't move. They stay still. They sit for hours. They get tired by doing nothing. And when you don't use your body with purpose, you start to lose the energy, the clarity, and the strength that your goals demand. That's why doing something physical every day is not just about looking good. It's about waking up fully. It's about being present. It's about reminding yourself that you are capable of more than just sitting and watching your life go by. You don't need to become an athlete. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need the perfect workout routine. What you need is action. You need movement. You need to push yourself. Not for appearance, but for performance. For mental strength. 4. Discipline. Because when you move your body, you also shift your mind. The fog lifts. The tension releases. The excuses get quieter. You feel alive again. Doing something physical wakes you up in a way that nothing else does. When your heart is pumping and your blood is flowing, something in you shifts. You stop thinking so much. You stop doubting yourself. You start feeling grounded. You start to believe you can handle what's ahead. That's why this is about more than exercise. It's about building power from the inside out. There's a real difference between tiredness from doing too much and the heaviness that comes from doing too little. Most people walk around feeling drained, not because they're overloaded with action, but because they're overloaded with inaction. They've sat too long. They've ignored their body's signals. And now their mind feels heavy too. You'd be surprised how quickly that can change. Just by standing up, stretching, walking, doing push-ups, going outside, getting your body back in motion. Movement builds momentum. It puts you in charge of your state. If you've been feeling stuck or low, one of the fastest ways to shift that is to move. Not when you feel like it. Not when it's convenient. But as a habit. As part of how you live. You have to stop waiting for energy and start generating it. Your body is a tool. Use it. Even just 10 minutes of movement can reset your entire day. It doesn't have to be intense. It just has to be intentional. Get your body involved in your growth. Too many people try to think their way into a better life while ignoring the physical part of themselves. But the two are connected. A tired body creates a foggy mind. A strong body supports clear thinking. When you build physical habits, you build emotional strength too. You handle pressure better. You push through resistance faster. You become the kind of person who keeps going when things get uncomfortable. The physical discipline you build through movement spills over into every other area of your life. When you challenge yourself to move when you don't want to, you're teaching your mind how to act without needing permission from your feelings. That's strength. That's how you learn to keep your promises to yourself. You'll never regret moving your body. You'll never regret the sweat, the effort, the push. But you will regret the days you kept putting it off. You will regret staying in bed too long. Letting your muscles get weak. Letting your drive fade. Every time you skip movement, you train yourself to tolerate low energy. You train yourself to settle. And over time, that becomes your new normal. But you can change that. And it starts with one decision to move today. You don't need to follow what everyone else is doing. You just need to find something that works for you. It could be walking. It could be body weight exercises. It could be stretching. It could be dancing in your room. It doesn't have to be impressive. It has to be consistent. Because what's consistent becomes who you are. And the more you move, the more alive you feel. Your body was made to move. Don't let it waste away from inactivity. Doing something physical first thing in the morning can set the entire tone of your day. You start with intention. You activate your strength. You remind yourself that you have control. You are not reacting to the day. You are creating it. You are not waiting to feel good. You are giving yourself what you need to feel good. That's ownership. And ownership is where transformation begins. Some people wait for motivation. But motivation shows up after you move, not before. So stop searching for the right mood. Start taking the right actions. When you do something physical, you build internal respect. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You become someone you trust. And when you trust yourself, you move through the world with more certainty. You have to realize that no one else can do this for you. No one can move your body on your behalf. No one can give you the strength that only shows up through discipline. This is your responsibility. And it's your opportunity. Because every drop of effort you give to your physical self returns to you as clarity, as focus, as drive. If you've been tired lately, if you've felt off, start moving. Not to chase perfection. Not to impress anyone. But to feel fully awake again. You don't need energy drinks or endless caffeine. What you need is a pattern. A daily pattern of showing up for your health. Of choosing strength over comfort. Of proving to yourself that you have what it takes to do hard things. There's something powerful about feeling strong in your own body. You walk differently. You speak with more belief. You take action without second guessing. It's not about looking a certain way. It's about showing up with full presence, full energy, and full commitment. And that starts with how you treat your body today. No matter where you're starting from, you can improve. No matter how long it's been, you can begin again. You're not behind. You just haven't moved in a while. And once you start, your body will remember. It wants to move. It wants to feel strong. Give it that chance. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't overthink it. Just get up and do something physical. Push through the resistance. Get the blood moving. Feel your breath. Remind yourself what it's like to be alive in your body. Because when you do that, something shifts. You become clear. You become sharper. You become ready to face whatever the day throws at you. You don't need long workouts. You don't need perfect form. What you need is to start today. Now. With whatever energy you have. With whatever space you're in. Do something that requires effort. Do something that makes you sweat. Do something that wakes you up and reminds you that you're still in control of your health, your energy, your life. The goal isn't to be extreme. The goal is to be consistent. The goal is to make movement a daily standard, not a random event. You move because it's who you are now. You move because you refuse to let comfort run your life. You move because your goals deserve the strongest version of you. Take care of your body and it will take care of everything else. Use your time wisely. Don't let another day go by without doing something physical. You owe it to yourself to feel strong, to feel capable, to feel alive. You have what it takes. Now prove it with action. If this chapter hit home, drop a comment and say I'm moving. And hit that like button if you're getting value. Chapter 7, slow down and check what's really going on inside. Most people go through life rushing. They wake up, jump into tasks, check their phone, go through the motions, and fall asleep without ever checking how they actually feel. They keep moving because slowing down feels uncomfortable. They don't stop to ask themselves why they're feeling heavy, tired, irritated, or disconnected. They think being productive means being busy. But real progress doesn't come from constant movement. It comes from awareness. And awareness only shows up when you slow down and look inward. You can't fix what you're not willing to face. And you can't face anything if you never pause long enough to notice it. If you want to grow, if you want to understand your thoughts, your behavior, your patterns, you have to slow down. You have to make space to reflect. You have to ask the hard questions. What am I avoiding? What am I angry about? What am I holding on to that's no longer helping me? These questions don't show up in a rush. They show up when you give yourself time to sit with yourself and be honest. It's easy to get lost in tasks and routines. You can go days, weeks, even years without stopping to check what's really going on inside. You might be succeeding on the outside and falling apart inside. You might be performing well but feeling empty. You might be smiling in front of people but frustrated when you're alone. And no one else will know it because you've learned how to hide it well. But you'll know it. You'll feel it. That silent pressure inside you doesn't go away. It builds. And if you don't face it, it will break you. You don't need more noise. You need clarity. You need a moment of quiet. You need to give yourself permission to pause. Not to escape. Not to scroll. But to listen to your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own needs. Sometimes the answers you're looking for aren't out there. They're already inside. You've just been moving too fast to hear them. Slowing down is not weakness. It's strength. It's choosing to become aware. It's choosing to face what's real instead of pretending everything's fine. It's allowing yourself to check in, not just with your schedule, but with your mental and emotional state. Are you okay? Are you clear on what you want? Are you running from something? Are you acting out of habit or intention? These aren't small questions. These are the questions that help you understand your direction. Because it's possible to be working hard and moving fast in the wrong direction. It's possible to be checking goals off a list that no longer reflect who you really are. And you won't notice that unless you stop and look inward. You have to build the habit of checking in with yourself daily. You have to create time to breathe, to think, to ask yourself what's working and what's not. This is not about overthinking. It's about getting real. It's about taking responsibility for your inner world because your inner world shapes your outer results. If your thoughts are messy, your decisions will be scattered. If your emotions are heavy, your energy will be low. If your mind is full of noise, your focus will be weak. One of the most powerful things you can do is spend quiet time with yourself. No distractions. No music. No phone. Just you and your thoughts. Sit still and ask yourself what's actually going on. Are you carrying resentment? Are you afraid of something? Are you stuck in a pattern that no longer fits your life? When you ask these questions honestly, you start to see clearly. You stop lying to yourself. And that's when change becomes possible. Most people avoid this kind of reflection because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to stay busy than it is to face your own truth. It's easier to blame others than it is to take ownership of your mindset. But you will never change what you're unwilling to look at. And no one can do this work for you. This is about you and your willingness to be honest with yourself. When you slow down and really check in, you start to notice things you couldn't see before. You realize some of your frustration isn't about what happened today. It's about what you never healed from yesterday. You recognize that your stress isn't always from pressure. It's from pretending you're fine when you're not. You understand that your lack of energy isn't always physical. It's emotional. And once you see it, you can start working through it. Checking in doesn't mean sitting in your pain. It means understanding where it's coming from. So you can move forward without dragging it behind you. You can't move into your future while avoiding your present. You can't build peace while carrying confusion. So stop running. Stop escaping. Just pause and check what's really going on inside. Ask yourself, am I proud of how I've been thinking lately? Am I treating myself with the respect I expect from others? Am I allowing fear to decide my actions? These are questions you ask when you stop trying to appear okay and start trying to be okay. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness. And with awareness comes power. Slowing down helps you reconnect with your values, with your vision, with your sense of direction. It reminds you of what matters and what doesn't. It clears the mental clutter so you can focus again. And in that clarity, you'll find peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on outside conditions, but the kind that comes from being aligned with your own truth. You don't have to wait for a breakdown to start checking in. Don't wait until you're exhausted, anxious, or lost. Build the habit now. Every day, take a few minutes to slow down. Turn everything off. Close your eyes. Listen to yourself. Not the version you show the world. The real version. That's where the answers are. Give yourself space to process. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to stop running long enough to ask better questions. And then give yourself the time to listen. Because your inner world is always giving you feedback. You just have to slow down enough to hear it. When you do this consistently, you become stronger. Not just mentally, but emotionally. You stop reacting. You stop carrying pain that doesn't belong to you. You stop making decisions based on fear or pressure. You start choosing what's right for you. You start becoming someone who is grounded, focused, and self-aware. That's real power. This is not a one-time thing. This is a lifelong practice. You'll never reach a point where checking in is no longer needed. Growth means change. And with change comes new emotions, new challenges, new thoughts. The deeper your life gets, the deeper your awareness needs to be. Don't be afraid to go there. Don't be afraid to face what's real. Slowing down isn't about doing less. It's about living with more clarity, more purpose, more depth. You owe it to yourself to stop pretending and start being honest. Start listening. Start paying attention to your thoughts, to your body, to your behavior. Every signal is telling you something. If you ignore it, it grows louder. But if you listen, you grow wiser. Your greatest growth will not come from pushing harder. It will come from understanding yourself better. And that only happens when you create time to slow down and look within. So start now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Sit down, breathe, ask the real questions, feel what's there, and remind yourself. You don't need to rush. You just need to be real. Because once you get real, everything in your life begins to align. If this chapter spoke to you, drop a comment and say I'll slow down. And don't forget to hit like. Chapter 8, fix that one problem you keep running from. There's always that one problem. You think about it, then you push it aside. It shows up when you're alone. It lingers in the background when you're working. You tell yourself you'll handle it later. But later never comes. You bury it under distractions, responsibilities, excuses, and noise. But here's the truth. It's still there. And deep down, you know that no real progress is going to happen in your life until you stop running and deal with it. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. What you need is to stop avoiding it and finally face it. That problem you keep pushing away. That conversation you've been putting off. That decision you keep dodging. That habit you haven't changed. That responsibility you've delayed. It's not going anywhere. Ignoring it hasn't made it disappear. If anything, it's been growing quietly, silently, while you move around it. Every time you walk away from it, you give it more power. Every time you walk away from it, you give it more power. And eventually, it begins to shape your energy, your focus, your self-respect. Not because it's unsolvable, but because running from something important always weakens your momentum. You know the problem. No one needs to point it out. It's the one thing you think about when your mind is quiet. The thing you don't want to talk about but can't seem to shake. The thing that shows up in your stress, your frustration, your regret. And still you tell yourself you're too busy to deal with it. But here's the reality. Not fixing it is already costing you. It's costing you peace. It's draining your energy. It's keeping you from fully showing up in your life. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to solve every issue right now. But you do need to pick the one thing you've been avoiding and start working through it. One step at a time. The longer you avoid it, the heavier it becomes. That weight doesn't go away. It just hides behind your busyness. But the moment you face it head-on, something changes. You stop running. You stop lying to yourself. You stop letting fear decide for you. That's when real change begins. Start by getting honest. What are you really avoiding? What have you delayed for too long? Maybe it's taking full responsibility for something you did. Maybe it's walking away from something that no longer fits your life. Maybe it's finally setting a boundary you should have set a long time ago. Maybe it's admitting that the way you've been living isn't working anymore. Whatever it is, avoiding it won't make it easier. Only action will. Facing a problem doesn't mean you need to solve it perfectly. It means you stop pretending it's not there. You stop minimizing it. You stop acting like you're okay with it when you're not. That's the first step. Acknowledgement. Not blaming. Not complaining. Just telling yourself the truth. I've been avoiding this and it's holding me back. That one sentence alone can break the pattern. Fixing something doesn't always look dramatic. It could be a single phone call, a small change in your routine, a decision to forgive, a decision to quit, a decision to begin again. But what makes it powerful is the intention behind it. You're no longer running. You're stepping into responsibility. You're reclaiming your ability to direct your life instead of letting this unresolved issue pull you in every direction. You might feel fear. You might feel resistance. That's normal. But those feelings don't mean you shouldn't do it. They just mean you're touching something real. And real things are worth facing. Avoidance might feel safe in the short term, but it always leads to long-term damage. It chips away at your confidence. It steals your drive. And it quietly convinces you that you can't handle your own life. That's a lie. You can handle it. You've just convinced yourself it's safer not to try. But safety isn't the goal. Growth is. Strength is. Freedom is. And freedom only comes when you stop avoiding the one thing that keeps you stuck. You don't need to fix the whole world. Just that one problem that keeps pulling your energy away from who you're trying to become. Ask yourself, what would happen if I stopped running from this? What would my life look like if this was no longer an issue? How much better would I feel if I finally handled this? The answer is probably obvious. You'd feel lighter. You'd feel clear. You'd feel capable again. So don't wait. Take the first uncomfortable step. Have a hard talk. Make the bold decision. Clear the weight that's been sitting on your back for too long. You are not weak for having problems. You're human. But you become strong the moment you stop avoiding them. The moment you say, this stops with me. The moment you decide to clean up what you've left messy. That decision alone can give you the clarity you've been searching for. Because once you stop hiding from the truth, you can finally start moving with purpose again. You don't have to do it all today. But you do have to begin. And here's what's waiting for you on the other side of that first step. Relief. Not the kind that comes from escaping. The kind that comes from knowing you're facing life with courage. That you're not letting fear run the show. That you're living aligned with the person you want to be. Fixing the problem you've been running from will change the way you see yourself. You'll start trusting yourself again. You'll walk with more confidence. You'll make decisions faster because you'll know you're not the kind of person who avoids reality. You're the kind who faces it. This is your moment. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need to take control back. Choose one issue. One area of your life that needs your full attention. Step into it with honesty, with courage, with the mindset that you're capable of resolving what you've been afraid of. You're not stuck. You're just distracted by what you're avoiding. Clear that and you'll unlock a new level of focus, of peace, of drive. And once you feel that, you'll wonder why you waited so long to deal with it. Don't let the day end without doing something to fix that one problem. Make the call. Write the plan. Speak the truth. Release what's holding you. Repair what needs fixing. Just begin. The version of you who lives without that burden is already inside you. You just need to act like they're real. Starting today. Only 2 chapters left. If you've made it this far, hit subscribe if you haven't already. And share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Chapter 9, track what you do and stay consistent daily. If you're not tracking what you're doing, you're guessing. And when you guess, you lose control of your results. You start relying on memory, emotion, and assumption instead of facts. And that's exactly how people end up working hard without moving forward. They think they're doing enough. They think they're staying on track. But when you look at the actual effort, it's inconsistent. Some days they show up. Some days they don't. Some days they focus. Most days they're distracted. That's not how change happens. That's how frustration builds. There's something powerful about writing things down. Not typing. Writing with your own hand on paper. When you track what you do, you bring structure to your growth. You stop being vague. You get honest. You see clearly. You no longer say, "I think I'm doing okay." You know if you are because you have the proof right in front of you. And when you see the pattern, you start to understand your behavior on a different level. Tracking your actions doesn't have to be complicated. It's simple. What did you do today that moved you closer to your goals? What did you avoid? Where did you spend most of your time? What can you improve tomorrow? These aren't just questions. They're mirrors. They reflect the truth you can't hide from. Because the page doesn't lie. The notebook doesn't care about your excuses. It only shows your patterns. And your patterns determine your life. Most people fail to stay consistent because they're not aware of how inconsistent they really are. They start strong, then fall off. They do something great on Monday and forget it by Friday. They wait for motivation to return, but it doesn't. Not because they're lazy. Not because they don't care. But because they have no system in place. No tracking. No review. No rhythm. And without rhythm, you lose flow. You lose discipline. You lose momentum. Daily tracking is how you keep yourself honest. It's how you build real accountability. Not to anyone else. To yourself. You get to the end of the day and ask, "Did I do what I said I would?" That one question can change your life because it forces you to measure effort, not just intention. It forces you to deal with facts, not feelings. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to hit every goal every day. You just need to show up and track. Did you try? Did you push forward even a little? That matters. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. And you keep promises by being consistent. Consistency doesn't mean massive action. It means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means doing what you said you would do, especially on the hard days. If you track your habits for just 30 days, you'll learn more about yourself than most people learn in years. You'll see when you perform best. You'll notice your distractions. You'll recognize your emotional patterns. You'll find out where your excuses hide. This kind of awareness puts you in the driver's seat. You stop being reactive. You stop guessing. You start leading your life. No one becomes great by accident. Every successful person you admire keeps track of their actions. They review. They reflect. They adjust. That's how you grow. That's how you make progress feel real. And when you feel progress, you get addicted to the process. You stop needing motivation. Because seeing yourself improve even a little becomes the fuel that keeps you going. Tracking isn't about judgment. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about ownership. It's about learning from your patterns so you can create better ones. You don't change your life by trying harder. You change it by tracking smarter. Every time you write something down, you take control back from distraction, from excuses, from forgetfulness. You make your growth visible. You take what's invisible and turn it into something you can measure, improve, and celebrate. Consistency is the real secret to transformation. And the hardest part about consistency isn't starting. It's continuing. That's where most people give up. Not because they failed, but because they lost track of what was working. They forgot how far they came. They thought their small steps didn't matter. But if you track your progress, you'll see that small steps are everything. 1 page a day. 1 workout. 1 hour of focus. When done daily, these things compound. They multiply. They turn into real results. If your life feels chaotic, if your mind feels scattered, if your progress feels unclear, tracking is the solution. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Pick up a pen. Start a simple list. Track what matters. Not everything. Just what matters. What gets measured gets improved. And what gets improved gets repeated. That's how habits form. That's how growth sticks. You don't have to do it forever. Just long enough to build rhythm. Once you find your rhythm, things get easier. Not because life changes, but because you change. You become more focused. You become more disciplined. You stop starting over. You stop drifting. You lock in. And that feeling of finally being locked in? There's nothing like it. You know you're serious about change when you start tracking. Because tracking requires effort. It requires honesty. It requires attention. But it also gives you clarity. It shows you exactly where you're strong and exactly where you're slipping. And when you know that, you can improve quickly. You stop wasting time. You stop hoping. You start building. Keep your tracking system simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Use a notebook, a wall calendar, a chart, anything that keeps you visually engaged. The key is consistency. 5 minutes a day to track what matters most to you. Those 5 minutes can save you years of confusion, years of regret, years of wondering why things aren't working. You'll know. And when you know, you can fix it. No one will do this part for you. There's no app, no person, no shortcut that can take the place of your own daily effort. But if you commit to this habit, if you stay with it, you will start to separate yourself. You will start to build things others only talk about. Because now you're consistent. And consistency is what wins long term. So track what you do. See your progress. Learn from your patterns. Build discipline. And stay consistent. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. That's where the breakthroughs come. That's where you earn your future. One day at a time. One page at a time. One action at a time. Stay with it. Because the person you become from doing this work will be worth every single step. One more chapter to go. Hit like one last time if you're still with me. And drop a comment and say I'll track it. Chapter 10, repeat the habit until you become someone better. Becoming better doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't come from one breakthrough, one book, one decision. It comes from repetition. Showing up day after day. Doing what most people stop doing after a week. Real change is slow. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't ask you how you feel. It asks you to commit anyway. You don't need to be extreme. You don't need to be impressive. You just need to be consistent with the habits that matter. And not for a little while. For as long as it takes. You want to be stronger, sharper, more disciplined, more focused, more in control? Then you have to repeat the habits that build those things. Not once. Not when it's easy. Over and over until those actions become a part of who you are. Until you don't need to force them anymore. Until they're automatic. That's when you know you've changed. Not because you said you would. But because your actions no longer require negotiation. They happen because they're who you are now. This is where most people fall short. They want the result, but they won't repeat the process. They start something good. They do it for a few days and then they fall off. Not because they can't do it, but because they expected change to happen fast. It doesn't. It never does. You don't become better because you tried hard for a week. You become better because you kept going long after the excitement wore off. That's where character is built. That's where the old version of you gets left behind. You don't grow from what you do occasionally. You grow from what you do daily. That small habit. The reading. The journaling. The walking. The meditating. The training. The planning. whatever it is. If you stick to it, it will change you. It will shape your thinking. It will shift your mood. It will harden your focus. You won't notice it overnight. That's the point. It sneaks up on you. One day, you'll look back and realize, I'm not who I used to be. Not because you made one big move, but because you kept choosing to show up when it wasn't fun anymore. There's nothing glamorous about repetition. It's boring. It's quiet. It's filled with doubts. You won't always see the reward right away. That's why it's hard. That's why most people quit. But the people who stay with it are the ones who actually evolve. They understand that the habit is more important than the feeling. The action is more important than the mood. They've learned that showing up imperfectly beats waiting for perfect conditions. Repetition builds trust. Not with others. With yourself. Every time you do what you said you'd do, you prove to yourself that your words mean something. You stop being someone who breaks promises to yourself. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop letting emotion control your direction. You begin to move with clarity. You begin to expect more from yourself. Not because someone told you to, but because you've seen what's possible when you're consistent. The world is loud with shortcuts. Everyone's trying to skip steps. But those shortcuts rob you of the process. And the process is where growth lives. The habit is where the real transformation happens. Not in what you say you'll do. In what you do repeatedly. Repetition doesn't just build discipline. It changes identity. It rewires how you see yourself. You go from being someone who tries to someone who lives it. When you repeat a habit long enough, it stops being something you do and becomes part of who you are. You don't just run. You're a runner. You don't just eat better. You're someone who honors their health. You don't just write. You're a writer. And when it becomes part of your identity, it's easier to keep going because now it's not about forcing yourself. It's about staying in alignment with who you've chosen to become. You might not see the result yet. But that doesn't mean it's not working. Every repetition counts. Every effort adds up. Just because the mirror doesn't show change today doesn't mean your body isn't getting stronger. Just because your mind feels tired doesn't mean your discipline isn't growing. You have to trust the process long enough for it to reward you. And it will. But only if you stay with it. This is the part that separates average from great. The ability to keep doing the right thing long after the initial motivation disappears. The patience to repeat the basics when no one's clapping. The strength to keep going even when the results are invisible. That's what makes someone powerful. That's what builds the foundation for everything else. Stop changing your plan every few days. Pick the habits that align with your future and repeat them every day without exception. You don't need to change everything. You need to stay consistent with a few core things until they change you. And they will. Slowly. Then suddenly. And when that shift happens, you won't need to convince anyone of your growth. They'll see it in how you speak, in how you move, in how you live. Repetition also teaches you to work through resistance. You'll face days when your mind fights back. When every part of you wants to skip it, postpone it, walk away from it. But those are the days that matter most. Because those are the days when the old you tries to return. And your only job is to not let that happen. Do it anyway. Show up tired. Show up unsure. Just don't break the chain. Because every time you repeat the habit, you're building someone stronger. You don't need 100 habits. You need a few that matter and the discipline to repeat them. It's not exciting. It's not easy. But it's real. And it works. The people you admire aren't magical. They're consistent. They've learned how to be faithful to the process. Even when it's slow. Even when it's hard. Even when it's quiet. That's the difference. The reason this works is because your brain learns through repetition. It's how habits form. It's how focus sharpens. It's how confidence is built. The more you do something, the more natural it feels. The less resistance you feel. The more momentum you create. And once you have momentum, everything becomes easier. If you're serious about growth, stop chasing results. Start repeating the right habits again and again until you don't recognize yourself. Until people ask you what changed. Until you feel the shift in how you carry yourself. That's the reward. And it's worth the wait. You already know what you need to do. You don't need another plan. You need to keep doing what works. 1 hour a day. One focused action. One habit that lifts you. One step forward. No matter how small. Repeat that. And then repeat it again tomorrow. And the day after that. Until it's no longer a habit. It's who you are now. That's how you become someone better. That's how you take control of your life. Not with noise. Not with speed. With repetition. Quiet. Focused. Relentless repetition. That's where real change lives. Conclusion, now it's your turn. So there you have it, my friend. 10 chapters. One powerful message. 1 hour a day. Just 1 hour. It's not a magic promise. It's not some quick fix. It's a decision. It's discipline. It's consistency. If you give just 1 hour a day to yourself, to your thinking, to your health, to your learning, to your dreams, in just a few months, you won't recognize yourself. We talked about that 1 hour that can change how you think. Waking up and taking back your day. Putting your attention where it belongs. Building something that's truly yours. Learning one useful thing every day. Moving your body to clear your mind. Slowing down to understand yourself. Fixing that one problem you've been running from. Tracking your progress to stay consistent. And finally, repeating those habits until they become who you are. The question isn't whether you have the time. The question is, do you value yourself enough to take it? Are you ready to become the person you say you want to be? Start today. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Not next month. Today. 1 hour. That's all it takes. If this video added value to your life, please do me a favor. Hit that like button. It really helps this content reach more people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss what's coming next. And leave a comment below. I genuinely love to know which chapter hit home for you the most. Was it slowing down? Fixing that one problem? Tracking your progress? Let me know. And most importantly, share this with someone you care about. Send it to a friend, a family member, a colleague who you think could use this message. You never know. It might be exactly what they needed to hear today. Take this clarity with you. And when tomorrow comes, show up for yourself. 1 hour. Every day. Starting now. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.